Oh, the recording? Record? Okay. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Committee meeting in room 408 on September 15th at 2015. It is currently 4:05. Mr. Clerk, would you like to call the first item?
Item number 1. Call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. On the call of roll, Member Washburn.
Present.
Washburn present. Chair Fisher.
Present.
Fisher present. We have a quorum. I do not have any communications or agenda changes today.
You have no, I'm sorry, I missed that. What?
I have no communications or agenda changes for today.
Oh, excellent.
First on the agenda, item number 2, file number 15096, complaint filed by Jason Grant Garza against the Department of Public Health, the Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, the Department of Emergency Management for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.21 and 67.25 for failure to respond to immediate disclosure requests in a timely and/or complete manner. On the question of jurisdiction, is there a motion?
So move.
Well, how does this work? Do I second it? There's only two of us?
Actually, we don't need we just need a motion and a vote today.
Okay.
So let's just say we have jurisdiction. We've
Yes.
decided by, what's it called? When we all.
On the question of jurisdiction, the motion passes unanimously.
So is there any public comment on the motion for jurisdiction? Seeing none, let's continue.
Yes, the motion to find jurisdiction passes unanimously. As there are additional departments, would you like to grant anything above the standard 5 minutes today?
Yes.
How much time would you like to grant Mr. Garza?
Let's go with 10. That's for Mr. Garza.
Mr. Garza?
Okay, please go ahead and get started.
Do you mind pulling the mic? Look,
Okay,
thank you.
you have in front of you a schedule I made as far as the receipt of what I received. It's SJ sequence, meaning sole jurisdiction. Basically, I submitted an IDR on 6/9, and the IDR consisted of, how do I get the IDR consisted of informing these 4 different agencies, the San Francisco Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, the Department of Public Health, and the Department of Emergency Management about what I consider to be, rigged procedures and policies and everything else. I'm an individual who's been seeking his health care at the Department of Public Health and has been constantly thwarted by not only bad process but incorrect methodology. The sheriff, as far as I've been able to deduce, has an MOU with the Department of Public Health to provide security. It is not there to enforce citizens' rights for ADA rights or anything along these lines. When I have called for the San Francisco Police Department, the Department of Emergency Management has told me that the sheriff has sole jurisdiction of these buildings and these areas. So that's why I sunshined them for that policy, specifically asking, for the policy regarding the sole jurisdiction and also what Code 800 meant, because that was on part of what I received, and who trains these people in ADA compliances and everything else, because if somebody's seeking their health care, they certainly need somebody in security who knows about ADA law as opposed to just being a rent-a-cop and, escorting people out. What I received, as you have in front of you, from the DEM, I received something on 6/12 that was mailed to me. They, of course, are saying that, they sent it out timely, but I did not receive it in the mail until 6/12. Here it is, 6/12. Was when I received it for an IDR that's supposed to be within 24 hours. If they have an excuse, they could have emailed me and said, oh, well, something's in the mail to you. Let's not worry about it. The Department of Emergency Management did not meet. And then when they sent me this on 6/12, it was incorrect. It was not what I requested at all. It did, however, show where the sheriff, had told them that I was a 5150 subject, which is, of course, basically poisoning the well. It also shows where the sheriff informed them that I was code 800, which is a mentally disturbed person, which is, of course, poisoning the well. Are these people qualified to make these decisions, or is it just something that they do to evade people's rights? At that point, I was still calling to send out a San Francisco police officer so that my constitutional and ADA rights would be, not thwarted by this rent-a-cop, the sheriff's department. When I went to follow up with Annie Cronenberg, the director, to talk to her about these policies and other people, I have videos of basically where they hung up on me, laughed at me, would not make an appointment, so that I could show her the videos and say, we need to get this corrected because, people are entitled to their health care without these games being played on them, through the sheriff's department with a memo of understanding to the Department of Public Health, which in effect abrogates, their rights, a citizen's rights to his medical care. Moving on to the San Francisco Police Department. Once again, I received something on 6/12 from them, from their POL person, and they, of course, said, there's no such thing as a sole jurisdiction. That's also, I'm tracking down this policy because that's what they use when you call for a police officer. Well, their sole jurisdiction. Well, there's no such thing, according to the police department, the San Francisco Police Department. The Department of Emergency Management, of course, pointed the finger at the Department of Public Health. No, actually, they pointed the finger to the sheriff and said, well, the sheriff, will have that. Well, interestingly enough, I got the response from the sheriff, and naturally, the sheriff does not have a sole jurisdiction policy whatsoever. What they did send me, though, was an MOU. When they first contacted me, they told me it was too much, it was too voluminous, it was this, that, which wasn't with the proper response, because a few days later, they sent me everything. If it was so voluminous and everything, this was a simple mouse click. The MOU, of course, and it nowhere states that the officers are trained in ADA. What it does state, though, is that they're paid $12 million by the Department of Public Health to provide security, public safety, and enforcement services there. Well, but those enforcement services aren't for the patient, aren't for the citizens. They're basically a rent-a-cop. Let's say you own a store and you're renting security, and the clerk just doesn't feel good about somebody. She just calls security and says, have them removed, even if the store is breaking the law. This is the exact same consequence. All right, so this, and then when I tried to follow up on this with Mr. Nico, many times I went and I've got the videos of trying to follow up on what this meant, because this pertains to the Section 800 that I was called by his person. Who trained these people to call me 800? In his own sheriff's department. Nowhere in this MOU does it talk about ADA, does it talk about anything for people's rights. It's a wonderful Machiavellian illusion, but that's exactly what it is. Then the last person, and the most glorious, because let's not forget, I'm asking for this to be pushed up to ethics as official misconduct, was the response I received from the luscious Department of Public Health. The IDR went out on 6/9. I wrote them on 8/4, saying that I've not received anything back from them. 8/4. Ms. Garcia and the PIO. And let's not forget, I've been in that place trying to follow up with them, and I have videos on YouTube where the sheriff would escort me out and not let me have access to the public information officer or to follow up on the IDR. Once again, thwarted by rigged methodology. They write me back the same day, 8/4, to say the San Francisco Department of Public Health has no responsive records to your request. This was for an IDR 6/9. This is the very first thing I've heard from them. And it's our understanding that the Sheriff's Department, once again, everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else because they know that when you go to that other person, they're going to fail. This is a nested loop of repetitive failures, deliberately set and created by everyone winking at each other, turning a blind eye, and when the rubber hits the mat, the citizen is screwed out of his entire rights by a system that's set up to screw people out of their medical care and every other which way, because the Department of Public Health is paying $12 million to the sheriff to screw anybody who walks in because they're just security. And if a citizen tries to call for his police rights, The Department of Emergency Management says, well, they got sole jurisdiction. We can't send someone out. So let me play the little tape that I have, because I've got 2 minutes left. Can you please switch this so I can start the tape? To show you what happened even on A24 afterwards. Okay, can you show me which button I need to push here? Okay, here it is. Go away. Here we go. And to know that you have no hope, no humanity. Yes, hi. Who am I speaking with?
This is Supervisor Doherty. How may I help you?
Supervisor who?
Doherty.
Hi, Supervisor Doherty. I'm calling because I called for civil standby San Francisco Police Department at 101 Grove because I've been denied access and accommodation. And I asked to send out an ADA representative. I've just been told that the sheriff was here. I'm sorry, I've been standing outside waiting for a police officer. Could you please explain what the problem is?
Just let me look up your call. At what time did you call in?
9:15. And I was just told by the last person that there was a sheriff's person here. Is that sole jurisdiction illegal policy? That they're circumventing my rights for, police, civil, and constitutional
Actually,
rights?
101 Grove is under the jurisdiction of the Sheriff's Department. That is their building, and they are there.
And I am calling for the San Francisco Police Department. Are you evading my constitutional and civil rights to police stuff at 101 Grove?
No, I'm merely stating that is what has occurred. Are you out in front?
Yes, I've been out front for 30 minutes waiting for you to send an officer so that my ADA rights could be, enforced, because the San Francisco Sheriff does not enforce people's rights here. They're merely security.
Okay. So, what is your name?
My name is Jason Garza, like it was at 9:15.
I'm sorry, you're speaking rather fast.
Jason Garza. Are you sending out someone or not?
I will be, but I need to get your information so that I can send you some help.
Well, I don't know. Last time they got my
I
information and they
understand,
didn't
Mr.
send me the
Garza, that
help.
you're very upset, but there's certain information that I need to obtain from you so that I can grant you.
Okay, so you basically get the drift, and guess what? I was there for 2 hours and no one showed up. 2 hours! Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, who are we going to hear from first? Should we just go in order?
May we ask if there's any,
Oh, sorry. Is there anyone that wants to offer facts and evidence that support the complainant?
No, I'm here
Supporting-
representing the Sheriff's Department. I'm not sure when you're going to...
Okay, hang tight. So seeing no one offering facts and evidence, Mr. Clerk, how should we call up the
let's call it
respondents?
in order of the agenda. Is there a representative from the Department of Public Health who would like to say anything? Would you like to present your response? I know you did mail something in, but would you like to make any statements?
That would be kind of helpful for us.
Hello,
Your name?
Nancy Soraya with
Oh,
the
okay.
Department of Public Health. Sorry
Thank
for
you, Miss.
being late.
Oh, no
Coming
problem.
from a different meeting. So the only additional information I have other than what Mr. Garza presented is that on June 9th, the same day we received his request, since it was an immediate disclosure request, I sent an email to our security director, Basil Price, asking him if he had any records, asking him to review the request for any records, and that same day our security director responded to me saying that DPH does not have records. And I believe it was the next day, June 10th, that I checked with Mr. Mark Nico at the Sheriff's Department. Sorry, it's been a while, because Basil Price, our security director, told me that the information being requested falls under the jurisdiction of the Sheriff's Department. So as usual, I checked with Mr. Nico regarding public records requests, and he responded to me letting the department know that he's responding to Mr. Garza's request.
I believe you have a copy of those emails before you today.
Yeah, they're in our packet. Sorry.
Thank you for making those copies.
Is there anyone that, should I ask for anyone that wants?
If that is the remainder of her response. I don't know if it came up regarding when the response was sent to Mr. Garza.
Yeah, I'm actually a little confused on that. This is not Q&A, but the IDR was on the 9th, and I saw an envelope on the 12th. You're saying you responded.
An envelope?
Something was sent to you? Oh, sorry. Okay. So I guess my basic question is, when did you respond?
So we responded to Mr. Garza on August 4th.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of late.
Yeah, I mean, I should have made the assumption that because I contacted Mr. Nico and their department would be responding, that response.
That's okay. We'll be coming back around to that. That's okay.
All right.
Did you?
No, I don't have anything else. I just wanted to know what you explained, that you received the IDR, you turfed it to the appropriate agency, but did not then get back to Mr. Garza until much later after he contacted you, wondering what DPH's response was. Okay. All right.
Would a representative from the police department like to make a comment?
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Chris Woon, the Police Department. Good
That's
afternoon,
Lieutenant Woon?
Yes, Woon, W-O-O-N. Good afternoon, Mr. Garza. I would
back.
like to state, first off, that the Police Department did not respond in a timely fashion. I'd like to concede that from the beginning. But I would like to offer an explanation for that. And the reason for that is that on June the 12th, 2015, we did receive a response from Mr. Garza stating that he wanted to have a hearing for failure to respond to an immediate disclosure request. Upon researching that, we did find that we did have an IDR that was in the spam folder of our email account. So what we did was we did contact our IT department to confirm the circumstances, and IT did state that because of the configuration of Mr. Garza's email, it was sent to the spam folder. Since this event, we have implemented measures to prevent such actions or errors in the future. Also, I would like to state that on that same day, once we found out about this error on our part, on June 12th, we did process the immediate disclosure request and did send him a reply on that day as well. Thank you.
Which day was that?
June 12th, 2015. So we did get an email on June 12th, 2015 from Mr. Garza stating that he did want a hearing because we didn't respond to the IDR. And that was the first time we were aware that we had that IDR, but it was in a spam account.
So it only sat for 3 days then?
The 9th, we checked, it was the 9th that he sent the initial original request, so he has a few days there. So after we found out on the 12th, we responded to him on the 12th and sent a reply to him on that same day.
So he was asking in his IDR of all four bodies for two things. One was any policies regarding sole jurisdiction by the Sheriff's Department, and then an explanation of what Code 800 is. So you didn't have anything responsive to the sole jurisdiction matter. Is that right?
Correct. We looked on our MOU file. We couldn't find anything for the MOU.
Okay. But you did send him an explanation of the Code 800?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we also referred him to the Sheriff's Department as well for the MOU.
You referred them to?
Yes, for the Sheriff's
Okay.
Department, I believe, as well.
I see. Okay.
So normally we have you sit down and we call you back up, but let's just get this all done with. I come from the IT world, so you said we've implemented measures to make sure this doesn't happen. I mean, you know, this is deja vu. It's just another day at the office for a lot of us. That IDRs go in and they end up in spam, they end up in junk, their sender preferred network, their DNS drop, their whatever. You use the words implemented measures. What measures? Did you get your IT department to open up a very specific email address that will accept everything, and it's sender preferred network, and it's reverse DNS, and it's DOS? I mean, what's...
So I'm not that IT savvy.
Yeah, it's okay.
However, I did get some indication from the IT department and from the chief's office. From the chief's office, we're reviewing everything that's in the spam, so we don't miss anything that's going straight to them regarding that. So we want to ensure that's occurring because we don't want any errors like this in the future regarding it. So that should capture everything that I could imagine regarding that side. However, on the other side of it, I am working with IT to working working with them, working on like keywords possibly to go in that fashion to capture it in that manner.
Right.
However, as we know, it's not as simple as just typing a word in that effect.
Yeah,
What I understand anyway. So I'm working that angle to implement some features in there to capture that event.
Because other than what we call, hey, it's human in the system, I mean, one of my websites, we get 500 junk messages per day. So, that's a tough one. I'm wondering if you're going to actually assign somebody to just that.
It's being worked on. I can't.
I know.
I'm just.
Okay.
I'm
That's
trying to
a-
work as best I can.
I know. That's just my concern. Okay.
I know, just very quickly,
Yes.
this has been a problem with other agencies too, and in our private lives as well. Some city agencies and departments have made it clear on their website where to
Oh, yeah.
send inquiries and how to label them. So it would be nice if there was some best practices or some uniformity across the city, but
I agree. And for our website,
hasn't happened yet.
I'm sorry. And for our website, it clearly states where to send the email.
That was my
the
question.
PRA request as well, whether through fax and also mail. It says to specifically to address the Public Records Act to a certain unit, especially if it's media relations or the legal division regarding public records requests, and it clearly states not to send it to other individuals for it may cause delays.
I mean, the simplest way is, and we're putting a little something on the public, is to say if it's an IDR, I think we have that in our bylaws, it has to say, or our rules, it has to say IDR on it. So if your junk folder or spam folder could watch for that and grab it and pop it up, I mean, that's,
Yes, I agree.
yeah.
I agree regarding that.
We're not going to solve this, but your IT department does need to solve this, because I think we
understand.
hear this every other month.
We do, yeah. This is
Okay.
a common problem,
Yeah.
as you might
That
understand.
one with the, and then the fax machine ran out of paper, like, I can't. Yeah.
Fax machines don't have much more time in this
Yeah.
culture.
I think we're done with the lieutenant.
Thank you. If I may just
Don't
say to
go anywhere. We could
if I might
finish
just
up?
say to Mr. Garza, if you could present the PRA to the legal division, and then we'll process it accordingly, because I don't want to happen these delays.
Let's not get into a discussion.
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
Well, you shouldn't address me then, because I will respond.
Please have a seat. Thank you.
Okay.
thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sometimes it works out. Who do we have next?
Is there a member from the Sheriff's Department present to make
You didn't ask for facts and evidence of support of the police department.
Hearing none, let's move on to the Sheriff's Department.
Good afternoon. Mark Nico appearing for the
Hey,
San
Mark
Francisco
Nico.
Sheriff's Department. I did file a response to Mr. Garza's complaint with regard to the IDR of June 9th. I want to alert you that I did receive it on that date. I did inquire into possible relevant records. I learned that they weren't going to be readily available. On the next day, which is June 10th, I did advise Mr. Garza that they were being compiled, but that because they were in different facilities, I needed additional time and would respond when I got the records. They were immediately received on June 12th. I did respond to item number 1, which is the sole jurisdiction issue. The only records with regard to that are our MOUs with the Department of Public Health with regard to our services at their facilities. And item number 2, which is the definition of Code 800, which I did provide Mr. Garza, and I'm aware that that's all we have with regard to Code 800. I believe that we did respond in a timely and complete manner, and I can answer any questions that you have.
That went pretty quickly. So can you review those dates again? You received also on 6/9?
June 9th was the
Okay.
date of receipt. June 10th was my first response to Mr. Garza indicating that
That was me, not you. June
Okay.
9th, and then what?
June 10th,
Oh, okay.
the following day, I informed Mr. Garza that the records were in different facilities and I needed to get them. June 12th was the final date that all records were received and forwarded.
June, what was that date?
June 12th.
I'm sorry, numbers are like just not hitting my head today. I don't know. Let's switch to colors, red, green.
There you go.
So, asking sounds like he was on
I
the
don't
right
have any
dates.
questions.
Yeah, it sounds like he was within the time
Yeah.
limit here.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
see any issues.
Right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Do I have anybody that wants to offer any facts and evidence to support the Sheriff's Department? Hearing none, who's our next contestant? Victor?
Department of Emergency Management.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Robert Smuts. I'm the Deputy Director for the Department of Emergency Management, overseeing the Division of Emergency Communication. We received Mr. Garza's request on the 9th of June. We compiled information responsive to it on the 9th, and it went out in the mail on the 10th. We didn't have a phone number to contact. We did have an email, but our normal procedure is to, if we're mailing out, we do not email CAD records or recordings. Those are only provided in hard copy, so they're available normally to pick up, or we put them in the mail. We do not mail those records. And as Mr. Garza indicated, he received our correspondence on the 12th. Is the date that he had indicated he received that in the mail. I do want to mention that, so we did not have documentation for the first item. The second item, we had just a record of what the codes were, which we provided. In addition to the two things that were called out in the bullets underneath that, he also specified this request also includes all internal documentation generated by the incident concerning this matter also, and we provided records responsive to that. That was our records from our computer-aided dispatch system, our CAD, and that's the record that we print on watermarked paper that we don't email. I will say we did not specify, as we should have, that we did not have records responsive to the first request and referring them to the Sheriff's Department. We should have made that referral in our correspondence. We later corrected that in a letter about a week later. But we did provide all the records that we had and sent them in the mail the day after receiving the request.
Okay.
So just to clarify, so you received the immediate disclosure request on the 9th, and your policy is not to send these particular documents by email attachment. But what you did not email him and say, we have these documents, we will be mailing them to you per our policy because of their nature.
That's correct. We should have probably reached out by email in doing that. We saw that there was a dash in the line for phone number, and so we just mailed them. We should have sent him by email, which is how he corresponded to us.
Right, and then also let him know you had nothing responsive to the
Correct.
first item, that would be the Sheriff's Department, which ultimately provided that information.
Correct.
Okay.
That's all I've got. I'm just trying to sort all this out. Do I have anyone that wants to offer facts and evidence to support our final respondent? Nope. Okay. That's it, right? It was 4?
Yes.
So now I'm going to open it up to the committee for any questions.
I don't have any questions of the respondents. I think they were very clear about what transpired when. So, Mr. Garza, if you would.
Should we go right
Is this
into
rebuttal at this time?
Go into rebuttals?
Or questions?
Just questions, yeah.
Start
So,
with
Mr.
questions.
Garza, we've heard from the 4 different agencies of all sent representatives have explained to us their timelines.
Which were misleading. They gave you a misleading. The DEM said that they submitted stuff to me on the 10th, which I received on the 12th, which was not any of the stuff that I requested. That's why they sent something else out later. It was a total mislead, but it was wonderful. It was caught on video. The sheriff did the same thing because, nothing is responding to the second part of that Code 800. Who does the training? Nobody has responded to that part of the question, which, of course, you guys are glossing right over. And let's not forget, I went to both of these places to follow up with their public information officer, to Mr. Nico, to request a meeting to follow up on the incorrect MOU and the way it was described. The same thing with the Department of Emergency Management, and I've got those videos. You were misled. You were not given the whole truth, but this is what you get at the Ministry of Sunshine. What is your question, madam? I just wanted to clarify the record.
I was going to ask you if you had received the information that you requested. You received an MOU that explained that.
Late.
But you have it.
No, madam, I did not get it through the IDR process, which is what I am here for.
Well,
It was an immediate disclosure request. It's supposed to be answered in 24 hours.
Excuse me, we have gone over the timelines. We have an understanding of that.
That it failed,
The only
correct.
thing I'm asking you right now is, I want to know, you did receive a memorandum of understanding from the Sheriff's Department. Is that correct?
I did, which did not speak to sole jurisdiction, and when I tried to follow up, I was not allowed to.
Excuse me. So you did receive that. And then you received information about what Code 800 means.
But not the second part of that question. Who trains the officers in this for ADA? Absolutely correct.
Actually, I have a question about that, too.
Okay.
But for that question, Mr. Garza, was towards the Sheriff's Department.
No, madam.
It was
for everyone who's, the complicit players in this, turn a blind eye, wink, wink, sole jurisdiction policy, which doesn't exist, so we don't have to send you out a police officer so we can evade your rights, wink, wink. No, madam. It was for all of them to answer. If you're not going to be sending somebody out, and the sheriff's there and he's labeling me this, and you're not going to send out a police officer, which obviously has Code 800, who trains these people? I could just say you're Code 800. What makes you qualified? What makes them qualified? Are they medical professionals? Have they taken any courses? Or are they simply security? Thank you.
I don't know who to ask, though. Emergency management? DPH. Is DPH... Can you answer that? I mean, who makes that declaration if in Mr. Garza's case, he was labeled Code 800? Who made that statement or declaration, or how was that? I'm just trying to follow along here, so I'm a little lost.
I cannot answer that. I do not know.
Do you have any idea who else that was up here could answer that? I'm just going to put it out to the audience. The sheriff, Mr. Nico, or Lieutenant Woon, we might be coming and asking you that next.
With regard to when Code 800 is used, that is something that the deputy in a sheriff's department or the police in the police department would have to answer for themselves. It is a code like many others on a list. There is nothing in the training department that specifically trains on that. It is a matter that they can use for descriptive purposes. It is not a medical code. It is not a expert code. It's not a 5150, if you know what that is referring to.
Do I? Yeah.
There's certainly training with regard to 5150, but Code 800 is not necessarily 5150.
So it's more of an observation in essence.
It could be an observation. It could be the deputy's words or the deputy's understanding of what they are dealing with.
Okay.
Excuse me, no, we're asking.
We'll
So,
be back.
Mr. Nico, so this is something that in sheriff's deputies training would be part of the training,
The list of codes would be.
the list of codes?
There is no specific training section or training with regard to one specific Code 800 itself.
Okay, so there are a lot of codes that are used to describe various situations that the deputy would find himself or herself in, and
Correct.
this would be one that would be applied.
And you can, in my response package is the list of all those different types of codes
Yeah, I
that
saw
run the
that.
gamut from A to Z.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have any other
Rebuttals?
questions? Should we go with rebuttals? Let's move to rebuttals. It's 3 minutes, right?
Yes.
So we start with the respondents first?
Yes. Are there any respondents who would like to make any rebuttals?
So any of the 4 respondents, you have the option now of, after what you've heard, giving us a rebuttal of 3 minutes. Nobody's taking?
I do not see any rebuttals at this time. Mr. Garza, would you like to make a rebuttal?
Naturally, of course, indubitably, yes. The sheriff again misled you. You know, he was talking about, you know, the 800, and nobody trains their officers to call somebody a mentally disturbed person. Oh, how convenient. But they're supposedly trained in the 5150s, he says. Well, would you be surprised to know that I've got where their sheriff and everybody else, you know, labeled me 5150. It's right here. Can you please put the overhead projector on for me? Through the CAD report, through DM, the Department of Emergency Management. There you go, 5150 subject. So once again, you were misled by the sheriff. It's wonderful when you're an attorney and you can parse words and you can parse meanings, but you can evade the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Here in Sunshine. Sunshine. Let me say it for a third time. Sunshine. Now, mind you, he said none of these people were trained in ADA or anything else. So they're labeling people 5150 and 800 that are not labeled, you know, and they're not trained in ADA. Oh, that's right. They're just security to screw you out of your rights, to screw you out of your police rights to have, you know, medical law enforcement. Because if the Department of Public Health, by any chance, breaks the law, for example, not answering an IDR until August, you know, and when I ask for official misconduct, of course, that won't be pushed up because every time you push something up to ethics, it fails. So I just want the public to know that I'm here to once again point out not only the rigged methodology, but to expose all the players, just like the vets, just like the altar boys, just like all the other things that have happened, you know, where people have just winked and said, it's okay, and people's rights have been evaded. It's immoral, it's unethical, and I still haven't been answered as to who trains these people. So the next time I go down seeking my health care, the sheriff's officer could say, well, you know, he's code 800, I'm canceling the call to DEM, and DEM can say, oh, well, you know, it's sole jurisdiction, we can't send somebody out, so your rights are going to be evaded. Well, you've seen the audio and the videotape on 824 where they did just that, and I waited 2 hours. It's a wonderful illusion. It's an inhumane proposition. But it's nothing less than I expect from the city and county of San Francisco. Because let's not forget, I've got a signed confession from where they've already broken emergency law, you know, that was signed in 2007 through the Office of Inspector General, admitting fault and guilt for having broken emergency law after they had my case thrown out of federal court with testiline from their expert witness saying that they had complied with medical law. Look at the people you're dealing with. Realize that they're paid to parse the truth and not tell you the whole truth. Oh, if only I could be a lawyer. Oh, that's right. I'll never get into heaven if I'm a lawyer. Never mind.
Okay. The matter is with the committee
Okay.
for deliberation.
The violation that I saw was one that DPH acknowledged that a failure to respond in a timely manner to the IDR, so violation of
So I got
6725. 67,
21, but which one do you like?
It's
A, B, or C?
6721 and 6725A.
right.
So it is A?
Yeah,
I believe it'll be a 6725A violation.
right. That's what I was going to say, 67.25A.
Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at that one too. So we've got, yeah, I saw that one too. 21A, and that was for the DPH,
Right.
and also the police.
Right. The police, the message went to spam, so that's technically a violation. So we, our policy has been if there is a violation, we make a record of it. Then it's actually up to the full task force to decide what to do.
No, it's up to us.
Well, we recommend. Well, yeah,
us.
it's ultimately up to
It's
me.
us. Well, then it goes back to you. Well, it's me here,
Chair
and
of
it's
the
you there.
task force, right? So,
Well, today it's up to me. And then
Okay.
in 2 weeks it'll be up to you.
right, okay. So, I didn't see a problem with the other. I mean, I think the sheriff, which now I'm getting confused. The one that failed to, I think it was DEM, did not send an email and say, hey, you know, we're going to send you.
Well,
we
my
have
other
this.
concern about DEM is there was also Mr. I forget, Smuts. There was also mention of, and this was, you admitted that there, I'm looking at 6721C maybe not quite assisting, or did you see that too? There was something about not directing the requester in the right direction or something? Or am I just making this up?
That would have been the health DPH.
That would have been what?
DPH could have told Mr. Garza, we don't have this. We're
Okay, I had that written down as Robert from DEM.
DEM.
Did you catch that?
I'm getting lost.
I know, me too.
Let's take these one department
Mr.
at a time.
DEM, come on up for a minute.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, now that you see the,
Yes.
you had mentioned, and this is, we're just trying to, we like to make records of everything. You had mentioned, and it's fine, we actually appreciate this when you tell us, that you felt that your group or your department maybe did not direct the requester in the right direction or something. We're just trying to get to the facts here.
Correct. I mean, I think staff just looked at the request and saw that it was addressed to the different departments and assumed that the department would respond to their piece of it. I think that under the language of the Sunshine, we probably do have more of an obligation to say again that this is not our record, that the other response. So yes, I would say that we do have a responsibility. I understand why staff did what they did, but I do agree that.
Right. And also letting him know by email, hey, we have to.
Correct.
Okay.
So that'd be 21C.
Yeah, 67.21C, right. Excuse me, sir.
I should give him an A also then. I got nothing against the sheriff though.
No, I don't have anything against the sheriff either. Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to make those motions?
All right.
May I repeat? I believe,
Please.
I believe that you are recommending that the Department of Public Health be found to have violated 67.25A for failure to respond in a timely manner,
Not
and
21?
67.21C for failure to assist the complainant in referring the claim to the correct department. The police department for violation of 67.25A for failing to respond in a timely manner, and the Department of Emergency Management violation of 67.21C for failure to provide assistance and referring to the correct department.
Right.
And do we have a 25A on them also?
No.
I do not believe so. I believe they did respond on
Okay.
I believe it was a matter of the email. They did not notify, they sent the documents out via email. However, they didn't notify the complainant that.
By
they
mail,
were-
you mean? By mail rather
By
than?
mail, yes. But they did not inform the complainant that it was on its way via mail.
And they were also the incorrect documents.
So that could be 67.25C, 25A as well.
25A is late.
Well,
You're leaving out the sheriff.
They were late, but they were late for,
They sent it out in time, but probably via mail, which would have slowed it down.
Right.
which in itself wasn't a problem if they had notified them that they were
Which
doing
comes
that.
under-
Then there would be no problem because.
Wasn't that more
They were still the
21?
incorrect records.
Mr. Garza,
Excuse
you need
me.
to sit down. I got it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're always.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
I'm
in 2
sitting
weeks.
here. Yes, I'm sitting here.
In 2 weeks, Madam Chair. Yeah, Mr. Clerk, is this 21A or C? Or am I just picking here? I think C will do it.
Yeah, I think
We're going
C.
to go with C.
Yeah, C. I think it's C. I think what you read to
Yeah.
us initially is fine.
C, yeah, that's good.
That'll be my motion.
Can you repeat that so I can write those down?
The Department of Public Health will be found in violation of 67.21C and 67.25A. Police Department violation of 67.25A. Department of Emergency Service violation of 67.21C.
Department of, the last one was
Emergency Services,
DEM was,
21C.
okay, so we have a motion. And now we go
Motion
to,
made by Member Washburn.
do I
Would
second
you?
it?
We'll make the assumption of the second.
Okay, and then we'll go
Is
to,
there any public comment on this matter?
we're going to public comment.
I love
You
the
have,
public comment.
3 minutes now?
Yes.
Or 2 minutes?
Okay,
Three.
ready?
3 minutes.
Okay, if I got the timeline right, these violations are very petty and very small. If Mr. Garza sent an IDR request on the 9th and it was responded to on the 12th, it would have to depend, well, sent on the 9th to the close of business on the 10th. So, okay, maybe it was 24 hours late. It's kind of a small violation, and the same with the others. With other departments, you've kind of forced them to set up a separate sunshine request email, which might have prevented this. We don't know whether it went to trash and it got pulled out of there. If they were required to set up this generic daily monitored sunshine request email, maybe that would have solved that problem. But I think these violations are very petty and very small. Sure, technically they are violations, but it's so small a period of time that it's almost, what are you going to do? Send it up to the full task force to find a violation, to kick them back down here so they can say, oh, we're sorry, we're not going to do it again? How are you going to handle this? Because these are repetitive complaints that really result in 1 or 2 technical violations are true, but you know, what is the bigger picture here? What is going on? All right, thanks.
Is there any other public comment? Public comment is closed
hearing none.
on those motions. Member Washburn.
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. The motions pass. Just a summary of the items for the members in the room. This matter will be referred to the full Sunshine Ordinance Task Force meeting on October 7th. The various parties are invited to attend, but they are not required to. The full task force shall review the recommendation and either adopt the recommendation or schedule an additional hearing on a future date. Thank you very much.
Oh, so then you do get final say over what happens. I don't.
It will be scheduled on October 7th. You are not required to attend, but you may if you wish.
Now it doesn't work.
Okay.
And mind you, they didn't
just
say
wanna
anything
know,
about the
yeah.
sheriff and
I
the
agree
second part
completely.
for the code.
Okay, good.
Next on the agenda. Item number 3, file number 15099, complaint filed by Sarah Mars against Public Works.
5 o'clock is public comment time.
We don't have public comment in this.
Yeah, we do.
We do?
We do not have a set time for public comment on this, but if you would like to take it out of order, we can. Public comment is listed as item number 4.
Yeah,
We don't have a set time for public comment to start.
Right, so.
If you would like to take it out of order, that's, I don't see a problem with that. How many people? I think
How
there's
many
only
people
one
are
person here for.
publicly commenting? Let's do public comment. It's only going to be 3 minutes. How many? 3 minutes, right?
Yes.
We're going to 3 minutes of public comment. Public comment.
Maybe additional.
No, I'm good. I think I can do
Anything within the jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to tell you that there is nothing written in any code or ordinance that talks about how you communicate with commissioners in the city. There's well over 100 commissioners that are appointed by the mayor to various boards and commissions, and there's nothing written. I'm not from California. We have a completely different system in New York. So for me, I was stalked and harassed by some crazy street artist. I took him to court like 3 times. It was still going on. So I called this commissioner lady at home, and it was so totally cool. She came down to the plaza. This was way back in the summer. The next thing I know, I do a public record search on my name, and there's a civil case claiming that a public meeting room at 25 Van Ness Avenue is her workplace, and she's seeking a civil harassment order. Well, I felt overpowered because I didn't even know they had access to the city attorney's office. I thought they were private citizens. I didn't know. So I was out of state. I came to the hearing, and I didn't even have a chance to speak. It was that bad. So it was a bad ruling on the part of the city attorney's office. The petition listed 25 Van Ness Avenue public meeting room as a workplace, but the final petition had no location on it. It was against an individual. And to this day, I am barred from 25 Van Ness Avenue, from other offices, from other things going on in that building. Because the Arts Commission is moving to the War Memorial Building soon, within a matter of weeks, I understood that they were going to go to court to try and keep me out of that building also. Why? I don't know. So I filed an appeal in state court, which is now pending. It's just inconceivable for me to understand that a public meeting room would be your place of business or yours, and to try to keep me out of an entire building based on that is absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of scary to be in state court, especially without a lawyer, but I feel like my First Amendment rights are violated. Ta-da.
Do I have any other general public comment?
Yes, my name is Jason Grant Garza, and I'm here to make public comment, especially about the rig procedure here at the Ministry of Sunshine. As you know, I've submitted many complaints in the past, and this last one, for example, was not heard within the 45 days that's required by the bylaws of the Ministry of Sunshine. It's amazing how the Ministry of Sunshine lectures everybody on how their rules must be followed to the letter. Well, justice delayed is justice denied. A good example was my last one, which was filed 6/9 and hasn't been heard of, still in front of the full task force, and it's now been 90 days. It's very, very disheartening when, the citizens are misled with propaganda and unaccountable people serving on boards who don't even fulfill their own mission statements and policies, but yet they sit in judgment of everyone else. And then again, when everybody else gets in front of them and misleads them, they just swallow it up like oatmeal with sugar, because that's the part of the Ministry of Sunshine. It's not here for the citizens, as I've said many times and have many videos to that effect. It is merely a risk management tool for the city to further obscure the truth, as it's always happened in all the cases that I've brought forward. Fortunately, I've been videotaping them. I've got the audio tapes. I've got the follow-up to show that this is a farce, and to not even be, mind you, this last complaint I'd asked for an official misconduct. That never even got brought up. Where could I get a job, profess to do something, not do it, not be held accountable, and just continue to play the game and be part of the rigged system? Well, apply at the Ministry of Sunshine. That's all you need to do, folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Is there any further public comment?
I don't see any.
I do not see any at this time.
Call the
Public
next
comment is
item,
closed.
please.
Item number 3, file number 15099, complaint filed by Sarah Mars against Public Works for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.21 for failure to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner.
I move to find jurisdiction.
I think we have, it's DPW, so I
Right.
think we have jurisdiction. Motion?
Is there any public comment regarding jurisdiction?
Hearing none?
Hearing none, that motion passes without objection.
So our complainant is Ms. Mars. I've never seen you. Is this your first time here?
Yeah.
Okay, so the way this works is you've got 5 minutes to tell us your story.
Okay.
As the complainant, the respondent, I assume you're from DPW, will then have 5 minutes to tell his side. And then we'll ask general questions, and then there'll be a rebuttal where the respondent will go first, and then he'll go. And since this is as I've been told by my colleague here today, but who will be my chair in 2 weeks, we will make this recommendation whatever recommendation we make will be made to the full task force, and the chair of the full task force then will determine what is to be done. So Sheriff Washburn is filling in today, so you're kind of getting a little extra special treatment today, I guess.
Although the full task force will hear Chair Fisher talk about this case and may vote to go along with whatever we determine or may not. Sometimes they want to know more, and you don't have to come to that hearing, but you're invited to, and sometimes we have questions.
Yeah, so if you walk out of here still having questions and really do want to address the entire task force, it would probably behoove you to come to that. There'll be an agenda. You'll be able to see where you are in that list. It'll be on the website.
And we'll be full up here with other members.
There'll be lots of people here and there. All right, 5 minutes?
Yes.
Go ahead. You have 5. And you have 5 minutes, but there'll be time after we'll have questions. So if you feel that you haven't gotten everything out, there'll be other opportunities. So go ahead.
I'm Dr. Sarah Mars. I have lived in Russian Hill for 12 years. This complaint arises from attempts by my husband, Jason Fessel, and myself and numerous neighbors to stop the attachment of cell phone antennas throughout our neighborhood by Verizon. On May 4th, Jean Chan wrote with the director's decision from the Department of Public Works public hearing on April 13th, 2015, regarding a cell phone antenna permit at 2151 Jones Street outside our home. The permit had been granted for the pole directly outside our house, but the number of letters of protest was underreported. My husband brought this to Mr. Chan's attention after we received the decision about the permit hearing. This underreporting was conceded by Mr. Chan on May 8th, admitting the error and agreeing to correct the order. However, you can't see that. Okay, so.
Is this in our packet?
Probably. I do not know.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
It should be somewhere in there.
It's good to see it here, too. Okay.
However, this was after the permit was granted, so it was too late to effect the decision. We decided to appeal the decision to the San Francisco Board of Appeals. We heard from another neighbor that at the permit hearing for the proposed antenna on Leavenworth, outside her home, the number of letters of protest was also underreported. This led us to ask, was there a pattern of underreporting of community opposition in Verizon's favor? On June 5th, I therefore wrote to Mr. Chan and Mr. Russendale Dennis, who had since moved jobs, asking them to double-check the number of objections for other proposed cell phone antenna sites in the immediate neighborhood. This email was titled Redirector's Decision. Receiving no response, I wrote again on June 10th, repeating the request in an email entitled Public Records Request. I waited for a reply to this second email, which we needed for preparing our brief for the Board of Appeals. It did not come until the day of the Board of Appeals, too late to be included in our brief, which had to be circulated like several weeks beforehand, I think. This also left us insufficient time to check Mr. Chan's new tally of the letters of protest against those originally reported, or whether hearings were held for each permit protested. Significantly, the information sent on July 1st by Mr. Chan, not only was it late, it was wrong. It was not corrected until July 16th, more than 2 weeks after the Board of Appeals made its decision, which also went against us. You can. I'm not sure whether this is in your package. Yes, so it was. There was a letter, an email correcting this here. A second email showing further errors in the first email. Okay, so frankly, at DPW, defending the lateness of the initial email explained that although the title of the second email was Public Records Request, the body of the message did not contain the words Records Request. This would suggest that someone actually read the email, disregarding the title, but still failed to respond if the problem was that the body of the letter did not have those words in it. Furthermore, the corrected information provided on July 16th shows 2 more instances of underreporting opposition to Verizon's cell phone antennas, making a total of 4 known cases within 2 Russian Hill blocks. These are only the ones we know about, and so I mean this is kind of potentially a can of worms. It's disturbing. While the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force will be ruling on the lack of timeliness of DPW's response to my information request. And I'm not here to single out Jean Chan personally. I mean, people make mistakes in their work, but I'm much more concerned by DPW's persistent underreporting of neighborhood opposition to the imposition. Can I just finish my sentence?
Give her an extra 30 seconds.
Okay. I'm much more concerned by DPW's persistent underreporting of neighborhood opposition to the imposition of hazardous cell phone antennae a few feet from people's living quarters that has been revealed. It shows at the least a careless disregard to representing the views of local San Franciscans, and at worst an intentional pattern of bias and favoritism by DPW towards Verizon. Unfortunately, our experience during the whole process with DPW would suggest the latter.
I wanted to hear the rest of that. Okay, who do we have representing? I'm sorry, who do we have representing?
Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee. This is Frank Lee. Okay.
Hi, Frank Lee.
Mr. Lee, we'll give you 5.5 minutes or whatever
Okay,
we
that's
gave,
fine.
whatever you need.
That's fine. Just like Ms. Mars said, we didn't realize that the request was a public records request because it was part of a chain of emails that she and Mr. Chan was communicating on, and then the subject matter was changed to public records request, and then the body of the email didn't contain those words. So Mr. Chan admitted that he just missed that, but and I wasn't copied on it, so I didn't even know that there was a request until Victor sent us the complaint, sent a copy of the complaint to me, and then I said, oh, what happened there? So we found out, and we immediately responded to, or actually Mr. Chan immediately responded to Ms. Mars that day, and I believe I sent that to you, to the task force as evidence. Then I apologize to Ms. Mars for missing, for the department missing her request, and offered to her if she would like copies of the request instead, of the comments, instead of just the number of comments that we received. And she said yes, and we gave that to her on July 16th. There is no pattern of deliberately missing these. I mean, Ms. Mars has made requests to us before, and in fact, she contacted me back in May and asked for the audio recording of our public works hearing, which we gave to her immediately the following day. So there is no pattern. We didn't do anything deliberately. It's just that we simply missed the email that she sent to us.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, so I'm going to open it up to the committee for any questions.
Mr. Lee? So I guess I'm confused as to how you could have missed her request when it said public records request in the subject line.
That's unfortunately how it is. I mean, it wasn't addressed to me, so the best I can do is I interviewed Mr. Chan, and Mr. Chan said he just simply didn't see it.
I have a question. So is there a specific like public records request email, either address
Yes,
or
there
person?
is. I mean, our website shows that public records requests can be submitted directly to me for San Francisco Public Works.
Right, but this one did not go to you, or?
No, it didn't get to me until Victor sent the email and saying that there's a complaint. And as I mentioned in my testimony to you, Ms. Mars has contacted me back in May, and we responded to her. Contacted me directly, and we responded to that. And so there is no malicious intent here. It's just simply we missed it. We just get so many emails sometimes, we just miss things.
I understand.
What about training for your staff? So you're the point person for getting public records requests, but you must know that members of the public may not understand that. I know from personal experience that all the websites for all the departments, they all look pretty different. And I can go to, DBI, and it looks different from
Arts Commission.
Arts Commission and the Board of Supervisors, the one that I'm most familiar with. So a member of the public will undoubtedly send something to the wrong person. So what training do you have in effect? What do you have in place? So, what happened here was regrettable in that she did not have the information she needed in a timely fashion, such that the outcome could have been different had she had the information.
I think I've been here before, and I've explained our policy in our department, and that people do know that they can accept public records requests and copy me, let me know that they got one, or they can refer requesters to me. And again, in this case, Mr. Chan has contacted me whenever he'd gotten a records request, but in this case, he just simply missed it. And that's the honest truth. We just simply missed one.
So I have a question for Dr. Mars. Who did you, come on up, sorry. Who did you send to whom or what? I'm just flailing through. Oh, okay. Was this your original? Yes, I'm looking at it right now, actually, on page 115. You sent it to Jean Chan, Dennis Rossendil. Was that because you had prior knowledge or worked with Mr. Chan, or?
Mr. Chan sent out the director's decision originally from DPW about the decision on the antenna, and he had reported how many letters of protest there had been. He sent the director's decision, which had the incorrect number of letters of protest. My husband responded to him and pointing this out, and then he responded and said he would correct the record. Okay. So I thought he may have access to how many, to the number, to the different letters of protest in this process. I also copied it to Rassendal Dennis, sent it to Rassendal Dennis, addressed it to him, in fact, because he was dealing with letters of protest to all the permits in the neighborhood, but it turned out that he had moved jobs since.
Yeah, and as a member of the public or a constituent or a resident of San Francisco, it's not, if you've got it into somebody, it's not up to you. If you've got the wrong person, whatever, that's not up to you. That's up to the city to clear that up. And Mr. Lee has admitted that it should have been sent on to him. I just wanted to know. So you were responding to Mr. Chan, because that's something we deal with a lot, is we have sometimes respondents from the city saying, well, it never got to me, and the member of the public saying, hey, I'm just a resident. I don't know what goes on in these walls. And we have to say to the respondents, yeah, I live here. I'm on this commission. I don't even know who to write to half the time either. So part of our role here, working together with all the different departments, we actually have an entire committee called Education, Outreach, and Training.
Thinking about them, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about EOTC myself. We have an entire subcommittee that is dedicated to training the departments, so that the last thing we want is for residents to feel that, oh, I literally can't fight City Hall. You can. That's what this is all about. It's not even a fight with City Hall. It's I can't communicate with City Hall. Well, you can. And we want to make sure that they're talking to the right people. So that's why I just wanted to know. And you answered my question. You sent it to Mr. Chan because you had gotten something, or your husband had gotten something from him initially?
Well, he sent out the DPW's director's decision about the antenna, And we were trying to find out. So he was obviously dealing with the antenna process, the permitting process.
Right. So you did what I would have done intellectually. I would have said, well, he's the guy. I'll write to him.
Well, I wrote to Mr. Dennis as well, who was dealing with that, but it turned out he'd moved jobs. So I guess he didn't.
Trust me, nobody on this table is going to give anybody a pass when they say, oh, it should have gone to the records. And Mr. Lee is, nodding his head also. So these antennas went up.
They're about to, yes. I mean, we tried to reopen the appeal recently, and that failed. And after that, they've now replaced the pole. So they're about to put up the antenna. The neighborhood, the antennas around our block have gone up. Yeah. So, I mean, it's. I guess it's too late from that point of view. But my overriding concern is not just the timeliness; it's the accuracy. And I was provided with information on July 1st, but it was wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's no much point getting it. I mean, it wasn't even on time. It was wrong. So, I mean, even just because, Mr. Lee said, well, as soon as we got the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force note that we needed to respond, I responded. But if you respond with the wrong information, that's worse than useless.
So then you heard again on July 16th, right? And so at this point in time, do you feel that you have an accurate count plus the letters themselves?
I have some letters. I have no idea, really. I mean, I'm totally dependent on word from DPW about what they've received. I mean, unless I could go down there and rifle through their files and see what they've got, I mean, I have to trust them that what the final count is what is accurate. But I mean, maybe they'll write in a few more weeks and say, sorry, we were wrong about this one as well. There's 2 more, and this one was also wrong. We have 3 more. I mean, I have no way of verifying. I'm a historian by training, so I know, I mean, I deal with archives.
That you have some background in this.
Working with archival records.
Yeah.
I'm a research psychologist.
So, right.
So I'm thinking, I mean, all of those letters are public records. You can request copies of all the letters that have been written from neighbors in the Western Hill neighborhood protesting. I mean, that you can make that request.
Right.
And if you in here were making that request and you didn't get all of those records, that would be a violation of the ordinance. So the ordinance specifically covers this issue that the city must respond in a timely manner with full disclosure of all the public records that are responsive to your request. So you can make that request, and DPW has 10 business days to get all of that to you. If you make an immediate disclosure request, they've got to get back to you sooner. So
by the next close of the next business day.
So you might ask Mr. Lee for this information now, and we'll be seeing you again at the full task force meeting. We can check up on
Well, you can ask without filing a sunshine ordinance.
That's true, but
you can ask and say, "Hey, can I have this?" And if
I can do that
a couple
in
days,
person.
he's standing right there. Really, it's only the 2 of you here, so Victor is rolling his eyes at me, but we've done this before.
Yeah.
And if you can ask him, and we'll still be here 2 weeks, 4 weeks from now.
Yes, well, I would be very pleased to receive all the letters in the Russian Hill neighborhood of protest that were received in response to the permits.
Come on, we're here.
Yes. When we found out about the complaint, and after we answered Ms. Mars, if you recall, I offered to give you those comments, and you asked for them, and we did. We gave it to her.
So you do have
We gave it to her. So if you'd like us to redo it, we could.
Oh, so you already have them, Dr. Mars?
I have ones for a list I sent, but that's not I'm not sure whether that's all the antennae in the neighborhood, because there wasn't an easily publicly accessible list. There's a list I just tried to piece it together from different bits of information. DPW were not forthcoming they sent out individual permits to individual householders. There was no neighborhood-wide. It was very hard to find out what was going. Turned out there were like loads and loads of them. Like almost every block, every side of every block had one of these antenna going up, and it took us weeks.
We had
to
that in
find
my
it.
neighborhood. It was almost like being in a type of an organization where, I'm not going to say what kind, where one cell has this info and one has this, and it wasn't until we all started talking to each other.
Right. But it takes a long time to gather that information, and then you never have a complete picture because it's you haven't been provided with the information.
Yeah, we had the same thing.
I suggest that.
Please.
Is it possible to provide a list of all the antennas in the area?
That would be good, or the permits at least.
And is there a certain defined area? I mean, I'm thinking by like precinct numbers or by maybe neighborhood. Can you give Mr. Lee, and make it a little easier, give him a neighborhood boundary, say from the north end of this to the...
Well, maybe from
District 3?
Pacific down to...
Bay Street.
Bay Street, yeah, that would be fine.
May we ask Mr. Lee what is possible?
not-
What do you need to know?
Yeah, do you do it by voter precinct? Do you do it by district supervisory?
There's 2. There's 3 and 2.
What would you like again?
I'd like all...
We can only have one mic on at a time.
Oh.
But basically, I believe you're looking for a list of the antennas in your surrounding area, and I was asking Mr. Lee, what kind of list could you provide to her?
No, I think that would not be the correct request. You probably want to know the applications. I'm discussing this with you, right? You want to know the number of applications in an area within a certain amount of period, maybe like within the last year or something like that. And of those, you will want to know the comments received for those, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's probably what you should be requesting, not the number of antennas, because if we rejected them or denied them, there is no antenna.
Ms. Mars, are you happy with that definition?
Yes, have we established the neighborhood area that you'll...
You'll have to give me the area that you would like. I mean, I don't know where you live.
Well, I live on Jones and Filbert, so within a...
Sure.
Would
Would
you
you
like
like to email me?
Yeah.
And then give me that
Maybe,
resource.
Dr. Mars, you can kind of grab a Google map or
I'll look at a map.
something, so Yahoo map, something. It's actually, they're all ETAC or ESRI maps officially, but you could grab one of those and do a little circle or something and send it directly to Mr. Lee.
I think in that area, with the streets being squared, I think it'd be easy just to give me the force boundary. But that would work. Then we'll look for the number of applications we received in the last year within that area, and then we'll give you the comments received for those. Okay?
Because this is not completely unorthodox. We have had situations where, well, I didn't know you wanted that. Well, this is what I want. And we've had, remember the coroner?
Yeah.
We had the coroner in here. Oh, is this what you wanted? And they actually, because there were many other people here, they went out in the hall. The whole thing was fixed. We're just doing it because there's nobody else here. So we want to see what's going on.
Would the task force like to be copied on it? Or no?
Victor, do we need to be copied?
This will come back to the full task force.
It will come back.
It'll be
Okay,
on the
all right.
agenda.
Okay.
It is on the agenda,
that's
actually.
fine.
Actually, it is. For our October...
October 7th
Yes.
meeting.
Right.
May I suggest, is the task force going to consider any violations at this time, or?
They're there. We have to.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
they're there.
and this will be an additional request that will satisfy your question, but however, I believe the task force is going to proceed with the violation on the original request.
I won't be here on October 7th.
You don't need to be.
You don't have to be.
Okay. All right.
You might want to send Jean Chan or somebody. And
Pardon?
You might want to send somebody in your place.
Basically, if you do not object to the recommendation of the task force, your department
No,
does not need to.
We'll get Ms. Mars the records.
Okay. And she'll she may come and let us know the
You
status.
can come and tell us, here's what they did, and
Yes, I suppose there's one other thing which I would need, which would be the director's decisions in each of those permits, because then I can see whether the number of letters of protest on those decisions were like the one on ours, underreported. So, I mean, one of them was actually corrected after the fact and presented by the defense at the Board of Appeals as if it had been correct at the time. And I was able to show that, but the Board of Appeals didn't care.
Mr. Lee, you have
Okay,
a
then we
comment?
need to amend the request because not all applications have director's determinations. The only reason why we would have a director's determination is that the application went to a public hearing. So if you are looking for comments received and checking the director's decisions, then the request should be amended to say applications within the boundaries that went to a public hearing and that had a director's decision.
Great.
So then
Do you
you
have all
can
this?
compare the number of comments received, and you can check on the hearings. Okay?
Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
You got all that?
Just to summarize, I see this as a new request from the complainant to the respondent and not associated completely with this complaint. The complainant is asking for applications in the area over the last year and copies of the comments that have been received for those applications in which a director's decision was made and went to public hearing. That's just paraphrasing.
No.
Okay.
The request should be, and correct me if I'm mistaken, is that you're looking for the applications for the wireless permits that went as far as a director's hearing. And the comments received for those applications and copies of the director's determination of those hearings within the last year.
I have that.
Okay?
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
I believe that acceptable, and we'll see that as a verbal request.
Okay.
We got some violations to tally up here, right?
Right.
We've got late and we've got,
Well, we have time for, you should ask for rebuttals.
for what?
Rebuttals.
Oh, okay, now is the time where we have rebuttals. And normally we go with the respondent first, who has nothing to say, it seems. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
The permit application process is a very voluminous process. We do need to be accurate, like you said, like Ms. Marr said. We do need to be accurate. And things do come to light when people like Ms. Marr makes records requests, and then that's my job. I make sure ensure that we answer the public correctly, sunshine, and properly, and make sure it's disclosed. If we're wrong, we're going to admit it that we're wrong. Saying that, I'm not going to go into personnel details, but Ms. Marr has mentioned that Rosendale Dennis started the process. He no longer is doing it. Jean Chan then took over, and as of today, Jean Chan is not doing them anymore. Okay, we have different staff members doing the wireless permits.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like nobody wants to be doing those wireless permits.
Would you like to
It's,
write a rebuttal?
Oh, you have 3 minutes also.
You don't have to, if you are satisfied.
I'm not sure I have really much to add, I'm not sure I have really much to add, just my concern as a citizen about the favouring of Verizon over the citizens of the of the city, and we felt we didn't get a fair hearing at the Board of Appeals, at the permitting process before that, or at the attempt to reopen the appeal. We felt there was, not just because we didn't get our way, but we felt that our arguments were not listened to, and even other neighbours with apparently absolutely open and shut cases of violation of permit conditions were overruled by the Board of Appeals. So I just wanted it for the record that we don't feel that the permitting process has been fair. We feel it's been biased, and it's been cloaked in quite a bit of secrecy and divide and rule tactics among the neighbourhood, which I believe Ms. Fisher has alluded to with her neighbourhood. So.
It was actually AT&T at the time. Just by talking to people at the library, it's like, oh, I got this. We're one street over. Oh.
I'd like to move to find a violation of 67.21 A and B. I don't believe that she received all the information that she requested originally, nor was it provided. What she did ask for was certainly not provided in a timely way within the Sunshine Ordinance or in time for it to be useful to her in the appeals process. But there's a violation of the ordinance itself, the strict letter of it.
That sounds good.
Okay.
So
That's
we have
motion
no.
to find a violation of 67.21A and B. There are no members of the public in the room to provide comment.
Right.
On that motion, Member Washburn.
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. The motion passes. This recommendation will be provided to the Sunshine Orange Task Force for their October 7th meeting for review. They will either accept the recommendation or schedule it for an additional hearing at that time.
Okay. What?
Item number 5, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items.
Actually, I have a question. Do we have I have a tentative complaint committee meeting on Tuesday, the 29th.
I don't believe we've firmed up the date yet. I believe we'll talk about that on
Hence the
October.
term tentative.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe once we set the committees on October the 7th during our full task force meeting, we can choose a date for the next complaint committee
Okay,
meeting.
but the tentative meeting is September 29th, and we're going to firm it up on October 7th, so that will have already passed.
Oh, September. There is no September.
There's no September 29th?
That one was there was one for the 25th that was canceled, right?
It's funny.
There was a date for September 29th that EOTC was considering, but
Oh,
so it's not mine, so I can
the
delete it.
September meeting is not, as far as I know, we are not having any additional meetings
I'm deleting
in
it then.
September.
Okay.
I thought you stated October.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
thinking ahead.
Okay.
There being no further announcements, next question is regarding adjournment.
So moved.
So moved. Let her go.
The meeting is adjourned at 5:32 p.m. 32 p.m.